Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Thursday Podcast. This is your boy Dave here, signing on a balmy Sunday evening. Kind of liking how the weather is out here in Ontario right now. I mean, inflation is still high, stress is still high, but also the passion for the Leaf Dem is still high. Of course, that's one positive. That's one of the only positive things that we're going to focus on right now. Of course, you can follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram, or sorry, X as you would like to call it, but mean not business if it's X or Y or Z or any other bullshit. And finally, you can listen to us and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from, and that includes Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and our friends at Podbean. Joining us this evening, we got an all Ontario cast for this evening. Avery right now is currently doing the Penguins Oilers game. Darren is out here in these streets trying to sell his next album. Reese is off. Reese and Sebastian are off on sabbatical. And of course, we want to shout out our boy Colin real quick. So what up, Colin? I've got the First Lady of Black Hockey herself, Miss Marcia Joseph in the cut. I've got the Hood General himself, Mr. Troy Piper Bowen in the cut as well, coming to you live from the Hood. And of course, we got the Hood General himself, Mr. Jason Fresh. Marcia, I'll start with you. How you doing?
I am live in this fine time of Leafs hockey and Toronto greatness. Even though if you saw me, you would seek something completely different. But it's fine. It's fine. No one needs to know. This is a podcast for a reason. Great. Audio only. Keep the vibes up.
Wait till next season. Wait till next season.
Exactly.
Troy, what's good? How you doing?
I am good. I have survived yet another week at my job. Mm-hmm. Lots of fuckery went down this week, but again, I don't want to go into details on air, so I will discuss this afterwards, just in case the walls are listening. But other than that, things are good. I'm excited for the week to come. Trade deadline's coming up, so it'll be interesting to see who makes what kind of move. How are you, Dave?
I'm excited about that too. Jason, Wagwan, how much water you drink?
How much water? I have a new jug, bro. The new jug has 2.5 liters, so I go through it like 2.5, maybe 3 times a day. Yeah, fam.
Real talk, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm just here tired, bro. This job is taking a lot out of me, man. Fuck. Excuse my language, but fuck. Holy shit. But honestly, no, I'm here. I'm ready to...
Honestly, drop as many F-bombs as you want to today.
This guy. But no, I'm just happy to see you guys. Well, not see you guys, but be around you guys. Marsha, what's up? Troy, what's up? Dave, glad to hear you in good spirits, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. All right, so we got a little bit to talk about. This is going to be a little bit of a short one for this week, but of course, short but not sweet, short but delicious. We're going to break things down real quick. First things first, we're going to talk about the Leaf game back on Saturday when the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs enhanced their history. Of course, both being original 6 teams. Great game on Saturday night. We're going to discuss that, and we're also going to discuss the numbass and Matt Rempe himself, basically scrambling his brains and basically causing himself CTE. We're going to dive into that real quick. We're also going to look into the PW as well. They've just unveiled their playoff format, and I have to say it is going to. I actually have to say it's very interesting how they're going to play things out. We're going to discuss that. We are also going to discuss whether or not the Leafs are going to be buyers or sellers during the trade deadline, as the trade deadline is fast approaching. Of course, when this episode drops, we will have a trade deadline special, and we will go through everything really, really quickly as we could potentially see pieces being moved around, and of course, teams gearing up for the Stanley Cup playoff race as the non-waiver trade deadline comes to a close as of 3 p.m. on Friday. And then finally, of course, we're going to look into Fanatics basically putting their foot in their mouth when it comes to their jersey issues and what it means for the NHL going forward. All right, let's dive in real quick here. Let's go into the Leafs game or let's go into the Leafs, our favorite hockey team, real quick. Of course, this past Saturday they had faced an original 6 rival in the New York Rangers. Of course, Austin Matthews did not register a goal, but he did register a point, which I'm kind of happy about. William Nylander scored. John Tavares scored. Actually, hold up. Let me just make sure that I do not mess this up, because I have been messing things up a little bit over the last few weeks, and I want to make sure that I am actually good on this. Of course, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares. Yes, I was right. All registered goals. Austin Matthews got his 26th assist on the year. Max Domi got the shootout winner as the Leafs prevailed over the New York Rangers 4-3 in a shootout victory, giving the Leafs their 35th win of the season and their 78th point overall, good for third in the Atlantic Division. They are trying to catch both Boston and Florida for the Atlantic Division lead, and hopefully not have to deal with the traumatic nonsense over the last 10 years, of course, with a number of first round exits. But of course, that's something that we will definitely dive into during our playoff preview coming later this month. First things first, I'm going to ask the panel here, what were your thoughts on Saturday night's main event tilt at Scotiabank Arena?
Okay, so if you mean main event tilt, I'm assuming you're referring to Rempe and Reavo. If that is correct.
I mean, that is something that we're definitely going to discuss as well. I meant just in the whole sense of the game, but obviously we can start there.
Okay, so well, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see a lot of it because I got extended at work, so I didn't really see much of it other than some of the highlights from the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say though that I am happy that we pulled out the W. I mean, yeah, it took overtime to do it, but I mean, New York Rangers is a tough test this year, man. I mean, they're no joke. Jonathan Quick and Igor Shesterkin, they're out there in the Big Apple doing their thing. You know, you still got to deal with the Breadman, still got to deal with Adam Fox, Andre Miller, like all these type of dudes. Then, so I mean, like to be able to hold it down, you know, stay in it, not fall back. You know, it's kind of showing to the other teams like, hey, yes, we do have our blips, but you know, we can still hang with these top teams in other divisions and other conferences.
Of course.
In regards to Rempe and Reavo, I mean, what can I say about that? I mean, one way or the other, I mean, even if Rempe didn't take like 7 strides and Superman leap at Lybushkin, I still feel like that fight was going to happen. And I'm not going to lie, I'm with most fans when they say like I'm over the stage fighting bullshit. Like there's no point. It's so dumb. The rules have changed now. Like you don't need to have guys going out there and purposely starting fights. They have a league in Quebec strictly for fighting. You want to go thump somebody's face and you want to get thumped in the face, go join that league. Like I understand, like, you know, if somebody gets run like Lybushkin did, whatever. But I mean, like again, like I said, I still feel like that fight was gonna happen regardless if Lybushkin got run over or not. And I'm so done with these stage fights, and especially with a guy like Rempe who's fucking the size of the CN Tower, you know, taking going at Lybushkin at the speed of like a GO train in rush hour, more or less, or not rush hour, but like, you know, when it's got a clear path. But like still, it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. I would like to see less fighting, to be honest, because I mean, yes, it does help, and I say that in air quotes because I don't have my camera on. I say like it helps, but I mean like fighting doesn't do a whole lot. Scoring goals does. Scoring goals win you games, not fight. So I think on the Rangers end, some adjustments need to be made there. And this dude is just barely old enough to drink. Like you're gonna turn your brain into a bowl of soup before you're 25, my guy. Like no, that can't be the move. And somebody in that system's got to be telling him, hey man, tone it down a bit. Let's focus on your skill set a little bit more. That don't involve you, you know, chucking knocks at somebody.
Real talk. Honestly, this kid's going to scramble his brain so hard with all these fights that are happening. that, and this is a very scary thing to say, especially when it comes to another player, but I feel like he might actually be an on ice fatality given like the way he's going. I mean, yes, 6'7", 220 pounds, probably has a mean right hook and a left cross, or sorry, a pretty hyper left cross. But this kid is going to scramble himself to the point where like he is not going to be able to probably remember what his name is by the time his 30th birthday rolls around if he keeps fighting the way he's fighting. And it absolutely sucks because it's like, a kid, for someone that young to literally jump into the league and basically catch like what, say five, if not six fighting majors within your first 5-6 games. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And that is a surefire way to get yourself killed. I mean, don't get me wrong. Boxers are able to, have fights and everything, but like those fights are spaced out. My man is out here bare knuckle brawling with hockey gear on, knowing full well that one false move and homeboy could literally either be in a coma or have a swift concussion to the point where like he's basically saying like applicant's name on a sheet of paper is essentially what his name is, or the man can end up dead. Like how and I use this term loosely, how hard-headed do you have to be in order to be able to understand that like you're moving reckless in this situation? Like fighting, yes, fighting should not be in hockey at all, but like what, like if it's a way to try and just ramp up your team, fine, do what you got to do, but like don't stage it to the point where it's like you're doing this not only for A, entertainment value, but B, looking for a surefire way to catch a payday or to have your parents catch a payday, especially when you basically flatline. But I digress in that situation. Marsha, what's your thoughts?
He entered the wrong league, like UFC, WWE. Like, if you want to fight so much, why did we say the NHL is the place that I'm gonna go to turn my brain into mush? Like, it makes no sense to me that hockey is not the forefront of what we're doing in a hockey league. Why are you here and you've been up in the majors and you said, let's do a little tussle, I'm gonna fight you? Who lied to this man and told him that this is gonna get him far in this league? Who and why? When did hockey not become the priority? Because I'm confused at why this man is still on the roster. If you cannot prove yourself and prove that you're worth something in the form of an assist or a goal or a really cool play or a good shutdown man on a penalty kill, why are you here taking away opportunities from other people? Because I could list 5 that are better than you. And if that's not motivation for you, then again, why are you here? And it's unfortunate that there are people around him that are, 1, egging him on to keep going, 2, no one is stopping him, and 3, he hasn't sat down and thought for himself, damn, I have 2 black eyes. Maybe I should just not. Like, what what is the thought process? I don't understand.
There is no thought process because that's why he has 2 black eyes.
No, exactly.
The Rangers,
I'm telling you, man, the lights are on, but nobody's home at this point.
To me, like, the Rangers are dumb because they could like develop this kid, like work on his power skating and his stick handling and his hockey IQ. Like, all right,
An
we're gonna
icon
turn
with
you into a
Miller
net.
and Laffy.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that guy could be like a huge net front presence, like on a power play unit. Like, if he just sharpened his skill, he doesn't really need to fight. Like, what he's doing is unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say like throw fighting out of hockey and shit. I'm not gonna say that because there's times where, like what Troy said, when a man takes a run at a next man, somebody has to defend that. You know what I'm saying? That's situational. But what this kid is doing at his age is so stupid. The Rangers are dumb. They should call Barb Underhill and say, hey, Barb, we need this guy to work on his edges and let her work with him on his skating, develop him, have somebody that was a skillful hockey player that was big, teach him like about net front positioning and shit. Then put him through the minors and then let him work his way up. Don't bring this guy up just to fight, bro, at this age. Like, to me, that's dumb.
His
That's
prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet, and they said, we'll keep you right where you are. Question mark.
This kid is going to have severe, like, head issues, like, later on. So, like, maybe when I say later on, 27, by 27, if he keeps going like this. He's not even going to be able to play. He's just burning his career. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I wanted.
For me,
What I
it's like
wanted.
this.
Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry,
Dave.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I want to know, like, these dudes that are punching his life in, like, punching his face in. Like, has any of them ever declined him? Like, why are they still engaging with him? Why has none of these guys have been like, yo, like, you need to rein it in a little bit? Like, somebody with any kind of sense, like, in terms of, like, the guys who fight. Because obviously, yes, I agree with Marsha and Jason that management should be stepping in and being like, yo, homie, like, you need to stop this. You know, like, but like, why are other players still engaging him? I mean, I get the
That's a good
entertainment,
point. That's a good
but
point.
it's like this guy has a fight like every game and he has 1 point. What are
Yeah,
you
he's not
doing?
even scoring like that. He's not even scoring like that. When he should be scoring like that, up there with his size. Go to the front of the net, crash the net, score. Show us you can score, bro. Yeah, we already see your size. You should be the guy that, for the Rangers, that could score goals and fight. Because they need one of those guys. They don't just need a guy that could fight. You know what I'm saying? And this guy, he's just a waste. He's occupying space in a roster spot at this point.
Like,
That's what it
Exactly,
is.
because he could be like the Zdeno Chara of forward. You know, you're not really fighting, but like you can be dominant at your position, and then
Exactly.
knowing when to
easily.
drop the gloves. But this guy's just doing it like you can tap his leg and be like, all right, let's go. Doing your big tough guy mentality. Bro, like if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you need to be smart about how you go about it to extend
Yeah.
your career. This is not the right way to do it, and the New York Rangers system is failing him badly.
They are, and I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad like you agree with me in that aspect because, like I was saying earlier, this kid doesn't have a long future if he's gonna continue playing the game this way that he's playing it. Like if he could just be like a Zdeno Chara, like what Troy said, this guy would make such a huge impact. Look at Tage. He can skate. He's killing penalties. He can score. He can pass the puck. He's a complete player. Now I'm not saying that this kid could be a complete player like Tage, but if he works on his skill and he gets better, who knows? With his size, who knows?
I feel like for me in this situation, like if he keeps on pace for the reckless behavior that he has, I feel like his career might be done at the age of 25. No questions asked.
25 is being generous. It might be done by the end of the season.
Yeah, no, for real, bro. Like because you see, like you taking these kind of runs at players, the whole NHL is watching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the same thing, the entire NHL is watching. Look what happened when Morgan Riley gave that guy the cross check. If you notice the next couple of games he played, Boom Jenner and him went knee on knee, and I think something else happened to him too. It was like 2 straight games where he was just getting ragdolled. I think it was a dude from Tampa that just Chernak dealt with him a certain way, bro. And you could just tell like certain guys in the league are not having bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is what the league is gonna come to. Like, you gotta look at this shit, bro. This kid is gonna hurt himself badly, bro. He's gonna hurt himself badly.
The absurdity of it all is that all these fights he's been in, he's not winning any of them.
Not one. Like Reeves had to take that fight last night because Reeves earlier in the game, Troy, I know you said you didn't watch. So I'm just gonna earlier in the game, like Reeves and him were like around each other. Their lines matched up, and Reeves asked him, like, you want to go? Like Reeves wanted to get it out the way early. And he was like, no. And then after he declined Reeves, he started targeting Lybushkin in that game, bro. Every time like Lybushkin was going back to get the puck or whatever, he'd come in late and shit. I noticed that last night. So he didn't want Reeves when Reeves called him out. He'd rather pick on Lybushkin. Lybushkin was handling himself pretty well. But then when he left his feet and he took that run at him in the corner when Bush was on the wall trying to get the puck off the wall and out the zone, that hit there, bro, like that, yeah, that one fucked him up still because he came in off the angle and he came in hot and he left his feet and he didn't even need to leave his feet because he's already 6'8". You know what I'm saying? He has the
king ball.
Yeah, man. Like, and he destroyed Lybushkin. Lybushkin's brains are scrambled right now. I know because I felt that hit when I was watching. I felt it. I knew he wasn't coming back after that. I knew that because that hit there, the way the boards rattled and the way his upper body and his head rid the glass, yo, that didn't even look proper. That
I
didn't
was
look
gonna
right.
knock somebody's beer off on the dashboard and way down the ice with the impact he hit those boards. Now,
Yeah,
let me
like
ask you guys this. Now, I don't know if this is the next topic Dave wanted to segue into, but with Lybushkin coming back and playing half the game, does this force the Leafs to make another move prior to Friday's trade deadline?
I thought you never asked. So I thought you never asked. So yeah, I think this forces a move. And this is not the only thing that forces a move. From my perspective, based off of the way the Leafs have been playing in the last 15, 16, 17 games,
Yep.
they don't want to waste it.
Mhm.
They don't want to waste this.
I
They
mean,
need to
this
do
is the
something.
only time where like you got to strike where the iron's hot in this situation. And
Yep.
if I'm Brad
Yep.
Living, right, like you've got to look at depth scoring. You've got to look at say having another right-handed defenseman, and you may need to say backup goalie depth at this point, right? Because like, don't get me wrong, Martin Jones could do the job, but like, what's going to happen if say Joseph Wall and Ilya Samsonov like literally go down again, right? You're only going to have
Yeah.
Jones.
So you're right, bro. You're right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just didn't want to like lose that. Like the backup goalie part, I just want to stop you there. Keith said that like he's gonna ride two backup. He's gonna ride Samsonov and Wool, which
Yeah.
makes sense. But the point you bring up is a very important point, and that point was based off of the way the season's going. What if Samsonov or Wool get hurt?
Again, right? Because like Samsonov is dealing with say his mental health wasn't that great, especially with over the last few games. Now that he's finally starting to find his confidence and everything, I feel like you know what Samsonov can finally be that. Well, not the 1A, but the 1B that we need for this season, right? And go back to say the type of level that he was last year when he backstopped us to our first playoff series win since 2004 with Joseph Wall, aka the Burlington Wall, as I like to call him. This kid has something to prove as the 1A in this situation, and he needs to be able to find a way to not only get his shit together, but also at the same time not have someone by the name of Nick Cousins basically running up and screaming in his face and screening him like a little bitch, knowing full well that like he can't score. So
See now, this is why, bro. I was happy when we got Bush. At first, I didn't understand it, but then I understood it, and not because of Gio going out. You got to remember, Gio's older. The blue line is nasty between McCabe and Benoit as a pairing. That pairing has emerged in a positive light where they're not taking no shit in the back end. Right now, you add Lybushkin. He's another guy that's physical. Adding Lybushkin put the Leafs like number 1 in hits in the NHL, right? Because they're already hitting this year and they're more physical. You have Ryan Reeves. He's hitting everything, right? So adding Bush made the blue line nastier, right? So you want to have that balance. You have Mo Brody. You got to remember he's a great defenseman, but you want him on his natural side because he's getting older and he's declining. He's lost a step. Let's face it. Old age caught TJ Brody. He's still effective. He's a good defenseman, but age is catching him. So right now, you got to find a partner for Morgan Riley. This is the first thing. It has to be a right shot defenseman, someone, and Lybushkin and Riley play really well together. But you add Lybushkin as a depth piece, but you want to get something that can complement Morgan Riley on the back end. I think that is a necessity. And you need a right shot. You know what I'm saying? Lybushkin had that right shot, but now you add a right shot to play with Morgan Riley as your top pairing, somebody who is defensively sound. Like guys, I'm thinking like Jamie Oleksiak, Adam Larson, Colton Perico, Sean Walker. A lot of people want Matt Roy, but somebody Carrier from Ryan O'Reilly plays there. Nashville. Carrier from Nashville. Guys,
too.
Yes. Guys like that.
As well.
Sorry, go ahead, guys. Sorry, I know I'm blabbing. Sorry.
I've heard Dumbo as well, but I think the four of us can agree that like we need a right-handed defenseman because everybody else is left-handed.
Yep.
Like that is true. That is very true.
Team with all our defensemen left-handed the other day. And you need somebody who shoots right, who can, offset a couple of things. And I know that they toyed with the idea of dressing Marner as the
Mitch Marner.
Mitch McCarr, baby.
It could work, but I
But it's like,
mean,
is it sustainable?
he's no exactly. He's
That's
no
the part,
Makar, he's
Marshall.
no
Is it
Brent Burns.
sustainable? Yeah.
Like, because if you think about Brent Burns, he's a winner, but he was drafted as a defenseman.
Yeah.
Now here's the devil's advocate part to Mitch Marner playing defense. And before I go into that part, what I will say is that I always wanted Mitch Marner to play defense because this guy is sick on the back end. But no, what I'm saying is if you play Marner on defense, you're gonna take away from his offensive like point total scoring ability. Like putting him on the back end, he's not going to be able to play in the offensive zone as much as he is now. Do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like he's not going to have that same point total. The only way that would work is if you put Riley on the wing and you have Marner in the back end full time, because then it would balance itself out. The points Marner's not scoring, Riley would score on the wing. You know
But as a counter to that, though, he hasn't been scoring anyways because something has shook in his confidence and he's not shooting the puck. So to rebalance everything in of itself, would putting him on defense give him that offensive defenseman push
Marsha's a
to
bad
be able to
influence,
start
man.
getting the points and bring Morgan Riley back to his former glory? I don't know.
Marsh, you're a bad influence, man. You're there encouraging me in my foolishness, man. Listen, I can't have you corrupted too, man. Oh, man. Well, I honestly think you like being serious. The Leafs can't waste Matthews, Nylander. They can't waste that this year. They cannot waste it this year. Tree Living has to make a trade. We all know it's going to be a right shot defenseman. We're not stupid. It's just a matter of which one. I'm with Troy. I don't want Dumba because Dumba is just adding a physical element that we already have. I like the way our back end is playing right now. You have two leaders in Benoit, who's basically emerged as a shutdown defenseman, and Jake McCabe. Like those guys are physical guys. Yes, you can add another one, but as depth. You know what I'm saying? We need a guy that could play top 4 minutes with Morgan Riley, that has a right shot to offset things like Troy said. That's where I stand.
Okay.
We
before
mentioned the possibility. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
So I was going to say, before any of you all continue, counterpoint to all of that. Say, instead of making a move at the deadline, who do you call up from the Marlies in order to be able to actually fulfill that role? Because it's like, no matter how many defensemen that there are on right-handed defensemen there are on the market, you also have the ability to be able to call up somebody from the Toronto Marlies and be able to fulfill that role the same way. Who do you call up in that regard, rather than pulling the trigger for a trade?
No one yet. They're not ready.
Tupi's ready. And if I'm Tree Living, I'm using him to get the best possible defenseman that could help out Matthews and Marner and that core right now. That's what if Tree Living can call up Tupi, let everybody see him and get accustomed to how he plays as an offensive puck moving defensive defenseman, because that's what he is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ideally, I would use him and try to protect my first, because if Tree Living can get out of the deadline and still protect his first, it's definitely a win for him. But to answer your question, Dave, I would call up Tupi so that other clubs can get a look at him and look at his game and see if he fits what it is they want, because he has a lot of trade value.
Yes, true. But since he's such a valuable piece of our farm team, are we in a position to be able to showcase him like that and potentially lose him when we need that in the future? Because it's not something that we have.
No, because the cupboard is bare. We don't have enough picks, enough things in the cupboard long term to sustain all of that. We're going to eventually need to restock the cupboard, so we'll need as many players as we can from the farm system who can step in later on. We don't want to. I mean, as much as we need the exposure to see if these guys can play, I mean, at some point we'll probably either have to put them on some kind of waivers. And you know how teams love to screw us when we put somebody valuable on waivers. So that's not. I don't think that's a viable option for Tree Living. I haven't been following the Marlies as much as you guys have, so I can't really put an input here in terms of capable defensemen who are able to make the leap from the AHL to the NHL. But what I do want to ask is, we mentioned the possibility of upgrading goaltending in the event, and I'm knocking heavily on wood here, that any one of our three goalies go down.
Mhm.
Who, whether in our system or elsewhere amongst the 31 teams, who do you think? I mean, obviously it's going to involve a third team because we're pressed up tighter against the cap than a packed elevator. Who do you think? Who do you think that we could possibly grab? I mean, we don't know. I mean, it would be fucking fantastic if somehow Tree Living were able to fleece the Flames and get Markstrom, but we don't know who those 10 teams are on his on his no trade list. And would he
Not
be
to
willing
mention
to
the
come to
fact that,
Toronto?
like,
And what would that cost?
not to mention the fact that, like, say, some of his salary has to be retained by, say, either Calgary or a third team in that situation.
I don't see Calgary trading with Toronto. I think Calgary still has the Doug Gilmour trade, and for what Chris Tanev went for, hell no.
Yeah, the asking price might be too high at that point. So it's like, okay, who's
Yeah.
next on the list?
Now Saros would be a good goalie to have, but then what are you gonna give up? Like Nashville's gonna want like a goalie. You know what I'm saying? Like Saros would be good because then you see it's so hard because to answer your question, Troy, it's hard because like if you want to shop, it's just better to shop in one store than to shop in different places. Like for instance, like Dubas knew he needed to get this team different type of edge. So he went to Chicago and he went to St. Louis. He went to two stores, but he did a lot of shopping in those two stores. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We got Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty from Chicago, and then we got Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Achari from St. Louis, right? So he went to two stores and he shopped. Like if Tree Living can pull it off where he's not like going to like 18 different stores to shop and is only going to like two shops, then maybe we get a goalie. But as far as a goalie, I wouldn't know like which goalie to get that wouldn't cost an arm and a leg. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to like Columbus, you get like a defenseman, you get like Peak, you get like a Boom Jenner, or you get Grubbenson and Boom Jenner and Marzinkus. You got to send a package back. What that package entails, I have no idea.
It'll be a lot. Merzinkus alone is on a 5.4 AAV, so
right.
That's money.
And then in order to, if you're taking on money, you got to put out money. Now, this Lybushkin thing worked out well because we have like about $1.5 million, right? And we can get a third team to eat salary, right? But it's the term after, right? So it just has to be smart, tidy business by Tree Living. Troy, I can't answer your question as to like which goalie we get as a third, like another goalie. Like right now, like Dave has me worried to the point where like, yeah, you might just want to hold on to Jones unless you're getting something astronomical back. Like, you know what I mean?
I think.
Okay, so let me think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Troy. My bad.
So let me modify the question then. Assuming that the cap space was not an issue this year, and we needed to make a move for a goalie, who do you want to see come over into blue and white?
I want to see Fleury come over.
Andre Fleury?
Yeah, Flower.
You know, Minnesota is not going to take him unless like you have to essentially load the bases on that one, because I know Minnesota is going to want at least two prospects plus a goaltender back, and that's just asking the bare minimum. And like I feel like a trade package for Fleury would essentially may have to involve either Samsonov or Wall as, let's say, the crown jewel of the trade, and maybe a Nick Robertson and a couple of depth pieces. But
I'm fine with that. That sounds nice to me. And just throw me Jacob Middleton and I'll throw some picks. And yeah, that's Jacob Middleton. I think he has a left shot, but he would help them. He could play with Riley. I know it's not getting the right shot. I have to check his shot. But yeah, like I would do something like that. I'm addressing my needs. I'm putting like a guy that could play top 4 minutes with Mo on the back end. I'm providing stability in net. You know what I'm saying? And I'm giving it up for a Nick Robinson and Samsonov and maybe a couple of draft picks. Like that's fine to me. I could get my bottom six scoring somewhere else. If the cap was there, it would be Fleury, Troy, to answer your question.
Wow. I may have just accidentally thrown a trade prospect in there. So hopefully, you know, I don't end up eating my words and then Leaf Nation comes after me for that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, the UC Soros thing, I could potentially see that happening. Maybe a goalie prospect from the Growlers, or say as like a goalie prospect from the Marlies goes over to Nashville. He gets his NHL minutes, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. Maybe throw in a Lajoie in there, or throw in Marshall Rafai, and see if all that situation would work. But again, it all it comes down to is like, say, can Toronto find a way to make all of this work? Because as we all know, and as we all are frustrated with, Toronto's salary cap issues are just basically rearing its ugly head every time the trade deadline runs around, especially with Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, and Riley basically shoring up, say, 60% of the salary cap alone. And then you've got 40% left for everybody else. So again, it's like, what salary cap gymnastics can be performed in order for Toronto to actually get the pieces they want in order to finally shed off the moniker of being a perennial loser when it comes to going for a Stanley Cup run. Again, this is a very fine-tuned situation that really does need looking into. But just going off of a broader sense of things, I know we wanted to talk about this whole topic earlier, but since it's kind of tied into everything, I'm going to ask all three of you, do you think Toronto should be buyers or sellers at this deadline at this point?
Without a doubt, buyers. You have a chance. It's like
So
Brave. If you had a chance to change your fate, would you? Yes. Yes.
Of course I would. Like, I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, I would love nothing more than to finally see a Stanley Cup Finals patch on a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey for the first time in 4K HD. You know what I mean?
Dave, you're gonna see that. All right, you're gonna see that. We're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, bro. You're gonna see that, brother.
Well, they don't have patches for the conference finals, my guy. You know this better than anybody else.
Yo, they're going to the Eastern Conference Final, bro. Let's just get there first, and then we'll finish the business, bro. Real thing.
I'm holding you to that, because like if we lose the second round, yeah, I'm coming and I'm boxing you, right?
The same way we said Leafs in 6, bro. Just chill, bro.
All right,
we're good.
But
we're good.
Jason, answer the question though. Buyers or sellers at the deadline for the Leafs?
I think the Leafs should be buyers, bro. Tree Living should be a buyer, but he should be a smart buyer.
Thank you.
He should be a smart buyer. He shouldn't just be a buyer to be a buyer. That's not gonna help these guys. If you're gonna help them, you gotta be a smart buyer. You know what you need. We're on the outside looking in, and we've already identified what we need amongst the four of us here, as well as Leafs Nation. We need a right shot defenseman. If we can get 2, that's lovely. Some term on there, get some teams to eat some salary, and we need something else for the bottom 6. I don't know who comes out, but at the end of the day, if you can get a scoring guy like up front, like a Boom Jenner, or someone who
I don't know if I can fuck with a Boom Jenner in Toronto, only because of the fact that like the guy only has like 28 points and he's like a solid -4, at least.
It's his style, Dave. It's his style. The way he plays, he's hard on the pucks. He attacks. And you got to remember one thing about the Leafs at deadline. I think we did it 3 years in a row. We like to get captains at trade deadline. We like to get captains, brother. Nick Foligno.
I don't know. Like, I feel like
Ryan O'Reilly was a captain. We like to get captains, bro.
True. I feel like if Toronto can try and pull this off and make this work, then I feel like Toronto may have the scoring punch it needs. But why not try and steal Adam Fantilli from Columbus instead? Because, like, don't get me wrong, when it comes to Columbus, like, I could give a fuck about this team, but as a fan of like Michigan Wolverines, like hockey, basketball, football, whatever, right? Adam is essentially like literally a playmaker that can enhance his skill with Toronto. And like obviously in a small pond like Columbus, like with him being like, say, potentially one of the leading scorers on the team, like I feel like Fantilli could be a huge steal at the deadline. And if Toronto can actually fleece him from Columbus as it is, I feel like that could work.
That would cost a lot though. Fantelli, that would cost a lot.
I mean, if you can get a third team involved, then maybe. But
No, I mean like the asking price for Columbus would be like out of this world. They'd want like Matthew Nyes or like a Fraser Minton or something like that. And I don't think Tree Living is moving Cowan or Minton right now. So as far as like scoring depth, like we'll be all right. But like Troy said, the cupboards are empty. So right now it's trying to replenish. So Toronto has to be a smart buyer when they buy. Like to get Fantelli, that'd be nice, bro. But then you got to look at what we would have to give to get that piece, right? And we would have to go into the cupboards, the forward cupboards, which we don't really want to go into because that's probably the best part of the cupboard. You know what I mean? If you really look at it as far as what's left, right? As far as draft picks and what we have on the
and like again, when it comes to draft and prospects in the pantry, like obviously, you know, like it's we're down to bare bones here. Like say there's crackers from like, and I'm not using that in a racial sense, but like there's like say there's crackers from like say from 2023 that are still in the cupboard. There's like a can of Guy's pineapples in there. There's salsa, there's chili, there's cereal that there's a box of Lucky Charms in there that probably hasn't been touched since January, you know, of 2022, you know, and it's set to expire as of June. Like obviously the cupboards are bare and shit's expiring, and you know, like say stuff isn't ready yet, stuff isn't ripened yet. But like at the same point in time, it's like if you have the opportunity to literally pull the trigger and potentially make a run for the ages that has never happened, at least in the Leafs history since 1993, when we were essentially one overtime win away from a Montreal Toronto Stanley Cup final. I feel like Toronto has to flat out pull the fucking trigger.
We got robbed in 1993, bro.
Of course we got robbed in 1993. Like, I mean, I'm not denying that by any way, shape, or form because that high stick still should have been called. And obviously Toronto didn't really step up in game 7, but that's a whole different story. But what I'm saying is that Toronto has to pull the trigger and make a splash if they want to be buyers.
Yeah, this is 100% accurate. Go, Marsha. Sorry.
No, I was just I'm like thinking of like potential names like Lawton, Toffoli.
Yeah, Toffoli I like. Duclair I like too.
Those
like,
would be
Duclair
really cool
would be
options.
nice on the team.
Yeah, like, but you see now that deal is possible. Sebastian brought up Ferrero from San Jose in the group chat, and I started watching him after Sebastian brought him up. So Sebastian, if you're listening, you're a genius, bro. Like to get like Duclair and Ferraro in Toronto, that would be like wonderful because now you're adding the depth piece, someone who knows Florida in Duclair. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then you're adding the defenseman, the crown jewel that we've always needed. The guy that is Morgan Riley's bona fide partner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I like those names, Marsha, for sure. Duclair, Ferraro, yeah. Toffoli too, I like Toffoli. Toffoli's a gamer. I like that guy.
So what would a trade package look like for Duclair and Ferraro?
Tree Living would have to come off the first. Nick Robinson, a defensive prospect, and maybe something
like
else.
Koivunen?
Pardon me?
Like Koivunen?
It's probably like a B prospect. I'm thinking a B prop. Yeah, because you're giving away the first. You're giving away Nick Robinson to give him a fresh start.
But you have to give him away.
I know, but you're trading him to make the back end better. It's like, if you really look at it, like he's playing good. Keefe is not. So
he's not utilizing him as best as he should.
He's not utilizing. He can't because Keefe is using other pieces in different ways that is working out right now. So right now there is no place for Nick Robinson on the Leafs. A lot of people disagree with me, but this is just based off of what I see. Like there's no steady place for him. Like you see how like they took Reeves out the lineup to reset, and he reset clearly, and he's playing better defensively, better in his own zone, better with the forechecking, doing the right things. Like there's no spot for Nick Robinson right now. And this is the thing. So instead of wasting him and burying him in the minors, you gotta give him up as a prospect. Like you don't touch Fraser Minton or Easton. You can touch Noah Chadwick as a defensive prospect as well. right? But the trade would look, that's what I would offer. If I have to offer like a future draft pick, like 2 years down the road, I would do that. I wouldn't offer anything else this year as far as draft picks. It would be like, yeah, Nick Robinson, Chadwick, and a first for Duclair. And that would be Chadwick, and the first would be for basically Ferraro, and then Duclair would go for Robinson. So we would lose that trade. A lot of people would be hurt, but that trade would be possible.
I think if you're tree living, I think, to borrow a phrase from 50 Cent, I think you do some window shopping until Wednesday night. Because the 3 games we have before the trade deadline, it's 2 games versus the Bruins and 1 versus the Sabres. We got the Bruins Monday night, Sabres Wednesday night, Bruins again Thursday night, and then we got the Habs on Saturday. So I think by Wednesday night, after the Buffalo game, you should know exactly what you need and how to go about getting, or at least have some sort of idea going into the Buffalo game. Like
I agree, Troy.
It could look like any one of the possible scenarios that you guys just discussed. But I fully think that Brad needs to continue his window shopping, creating his spring wish list until he's able to figure something out. And again, I think we can all agree that regardless of whatever move the Leafs make, you're gonna need a third team because we're pushed right up against the cap.
I agree with Troy still, because if we make a trade now, it's not really going to make sense because everything goes cheaper at the trade deadline. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see some guys go for like dirt cheap. You know what I'm saying? So like, ideally, like, yeah, I don't think anything is going to happen between now and the trade deadline. I don't foresee anything happening. No, I see it happening on the day. Like the actual day, like, well, we're gonna probably wait till like 3-4 in the afternoon. We're gonna see all these guys go, and then we're gonna get our trade like last. I don't think Tree Living is gonna come out first. He's just gonna see what guys are going for. So he has his deals in place. I think there are deals in place. He's just waiting for the best deal, like for him to get the best deal on that day.
Well, this is a very interesting discussion. This is a very interesting discussion in regards to the trade deadline. Of course, there are obviously a lot of other teams that play. Looking at the NHL standings right now as it is, of course, like I said earlier on in the show, Toronto right now is currently sitting third in the Atlantic. Hopefully, by say the trade deadline and by the release of this episode, Toronto will be at least within 2 points of striking distance on the Bruins, as we have 2 games in hand. We have 2 games in hand on the Bruins, and we have a game in hand on the Panthers. So ideally, if I'm Toronto, like, I want to be able to actually overtake and say potentially have a run at the President's Trophy, but like obviously the President's Trophy is a meaningless trophy as it is.
No, we don't want the President's Trophy, bro.
No, obviously not. But like, I mean, Toronto has never even had a shot at that.
No, we don't even want a shot at that. Do you know what happens to the teams that win the President's Trophy, bro? No, thank you.
I'm aware of that. I have looked at the history of that, and like obviously there have only been 7 teams in the entire history of the National Hockey League to actually win both the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup. And it's happened on, say, 8 separate occasions. Detroit being the only team that's won twice, won that trophy twice and won the Stanley Cup. So I mean, obviously, like, I know the fuckery behind it, but at the same point in time, it's like Toronto really has not much to hang its hat on since 1967. What, we've had 1 division banner in 50 years. We've never even had a sniff at, like, say, top record in the league. We don't have an Eastern Conference banner. We have 13 Stanley Cup banners, but like those are basically brand new banners after the pineapple fucking bastard known as Harold Ballard basically sold them off for fucking peanuts. But Toronto really hasn't had much to race to the rafters other than, say, all those retired jerseys and that beautiful Raptors championship banner that's been there since 2019. Toronto really hasn't had much to like actually raise to the roof of Scotiabank Arena. So I mean, at least have something. You know what I mean? Again, that's just me. But like I said,
don't worry. We're gonna get a cup, bro. You just gotta chill, bro. I know you can't chill, bro. Like, Leafs. See, the thing is, if you're a Leafs fan, you could survive anything in life. The emotions that you guys put me through just prepare you for life, bro. You know what I'm saying? But now this this is this what we're experiencing is so beautiful because like I was there in 93, bro. I think all of us were there in 93. I know I'm showing our age right now, but
No.
It's a shit.
but yeah, no,
I was
93 was
-5.
like, oh, you're a -5? Okay. But no, what I'm trying to say is that like whoever sat through that and seen that, like we're able to just go through life because like nothing after that could do any type of badness to us. So for the people born after 1993, it would be the first Boston series.
No. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit right there. Hold on. I gotta drop some history on you real quick. 1994, 5-game beating against Vancouver. I actually remember that.
You remember that? Okay.
Dominic Hasek basically
Yeah, we had no chance.
dominated and leave them in 5 games.
We had no chance. We were going against Dominic Hasek. We had no chance. I knew that already.
And then 2002, fucking Martin Jelena and Carolina went to the Stanley Cup final, and one of the most shocking fucking things I had ever seen in my life.
Overtime, right? That was that was the game that went to overtime against Carolina. Yeah, I remember that game too. Game
they had the weakest goaltending too in Archer Servais.
Yeah, because it was a flimsy goal. That goal was a flimsy goal. I remember that. I would still say the Boston one still. That one was like the Boston one that just damaged everyone still. That first one, because the Leafs were up big time in that game, and Boston came back in the last period and just fucking tied up the game and won in overtime. Yeah, everybody was destroyed after that. But Dave, we're gonna be all right this year. Bob Marley said, "Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be all right, sir. Trust me."
All right, I'm holding you to that still. Anyways, as it stands right now, at the time of this recording, Florida is currently sitting on 86 points, Boston at 84 in the Atlantic, Toronto, of course, third in the Atlantic at 78. The team that the Leafs just beat back on Saturday, Rangers, are sitting on 84 as of right now. Carolina at 78, and the Flyers are at 71, and the both wildcard spots are held by Atlantic Division teams in both Detroit and Tampa Bay, respectively, as they're currently sitting on 72. The playoff race is starting to heat up, as they say, depending on the team that you cheer for. There are at least 20 games left in the season. Somebody's got to do something, and there's always going to be obviously there's going to be one team left standing as of June 30th, with Big Stanley literally in their house. Hopefully, it's Toronto. Ideally, Avery would normally talk about the Oilers as well, considering that, say, in the West, Winnipeg is currently holding serve right now in the Western Conference with 83 points. Dallas also has 83, but of course, Winnipeg has 3 games in hand on them. Colorado has 79. Vancouver has 83 right now, and they're playing beautifully as it stands. The Oilers have leapfrogged the defending Stanley Cup champions, as they have 74 points right now. They're second in the Pacific. Golden Knights have 73, and the wildcard spots are being held by Los Angeles and Nashville. Before we move on to the next topic, are there any other surprise teams that might make a huge move, say, come the trade deadline?
The referees.
Other than the referees, man. Fuck them zebras. Anyways,
they need to study the rule book again.
No, for real. But no, other than the zebras who belong at African Lion Safari out by Hamilton, what other NHL team would potentially make a huge move come trade deadline day?
Vegas.
Probably Vegas. Yep. Vegas always has something up their sleeve, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do something.
Considering the fact that they're currently circumventing the cap, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, they're cap benders. They're the new Tampa Bay Lightning. That's what they are. And Mark Stone is on LTIR. I heard they're looking at Tarasenko from Ottawa. If they get that guy, they're going to be a problem.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. All right, let's move on. All right, so the PWHL, of course, is in full swing right now. They have just unveiled not only their draft order, but also they have unveiled their playoff format. And I gotta say, I'm a little excited about how the PW is going to play this whole situation out. So, For those of you not familiar with the situation, Professional Women's Hockey League is, of course, another hockey league that we all follow here. Primarily a women's game. 6 teams: Montreal, Minnesota, Ottawa, Boston, New York, and of course Toronto. As of right now, the PW standings look like this. Montreal is currently sitting first in the league. Minnesota second with 22 points. Toronto is just 3 points behind Montreal for first in the league. Boston has Boston is in fourth place right now with 18 points. Ottawa has 16 and New York also has 16 respectively. As it stands right now, the top 4 teams are slated to make the PWHL playoffs. Here's how the playoff format is going to work, as unveiled by the executive team of the PW itself. Starting the week of May 6th, 4 teams will earn playoff berths, with the highest ranking teams gaining the opportunity to select its opponent for a best of 5 semifinal series from either the number 3 or the number 4 seed. Let me explain that again, and actually let me dumb it down a little bit better. The top team in the PWHL has the opportunity to choose either the 3rd seed or the 4th seed, which is currently either Toronto or Boston, and play them in a best of 5 semifinal series. The other team that does not get to pick, which would be the number 2 seed, will face whoever is left in that situation in a best of 5. The winner out of that will play in a best of 5 championship series. Now, obviously, with the league in its infancy, it's still eye-opening to see something so, I guess, for lack of a better term, invigorating. But I gotta say, this playoff format is kind of a little crazy, and I'm here for it. But I want to hear your thoughts, guys. Marsha, let's start with you.
It's fun and it's innovative, and it gives incentive to being first. Okay, it shows what a potential thought process could be. Thinking, okay, who am I going to choose, 3 or 4? Am I going to make it fun and make it be about a rivalry, or is this actually a very strategic decision based off of the way that teams have played? And you get to see cool little insights to those front offices of those individual teams, and then it makes the last stretch of the season more interesting because of how close everything is right now. Like currently, Montreal and Toronto have a 1 game up on Minnesota, but Minnesota's sitting at 2nd seed right now. So that could change the entire trajectory of the last few games of the season and how this ends up playing out. But I think it's cool that they're doing something innovative, and they're trying to get people engaged by doing fun things, and I think that's really important.
Jason, I'm gonna go with you next, and before I ask for your thoughts on this, I'm just gonna correct things really quickly here. After 14 games, Montreal is sitting on 27 points. Minnesota, after 15 games, is sitting on 25 points. Toronto, after 14 games, is sitting on 24. Boston, after 13, is sitting on 18, currently holding the last playoff spot as of right now. Ottawa, after 14 games, is sitting on 16, and New York is also sitting on 16 as well after 14 games. Jason, what are your thoughts on this whole playoff format? You bought it, or you not bought it?
I like it. I think it's pretty dope still. Like if you finish first and you're telling me you get to pick who you play, I do that. But then that could turn around and bite you in the ass later on by trying to want to play the worst seed, and then the worst seed upsets you as the top seed. You got to be careful when you're doing that. It puts more of a thinking aspect behind it too, right? So I think who's saying Marshall was talking about like building the rivalries. Like this is the best way to build it. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to hope that Toronto and Montreal play like in the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like you want to see like rivalries being built, like Minnesota Boston or Boston Toronto. Like you want, what I'm trying to say is like some of the NHL, like in the men's league rivalries, we want to see that in the WHL too. Like, and you kind of see that, like the Montreal Toronto game was a chippy game. That was in the ACC recently. It was a very chippy game. You could tell that, you know what I mean? Like that Montreal Toronto vibe is there. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that the women's hockey league needs that. You know what I mean? In order to build its fan base and build. And I think it's a good idea. And I also like the shorthanded rule that they have too. Like I can't remember how it works, but if a team is on the shorthanded and they score, it's like a get out of free card or something like that.
Yeah.
But like I kind of like these type of rules like that. Like I like this shit. I like it. I like what they're doing. It's very innovative.
Troy, let's go with your thoughts.
Okay. So before I answer your question, I would like to call out all these sports apps for not having a PWHL tab on any of their apps. You're falling off. Pick up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is an exciting league. Why you don't have a tab? Like, why do I have to search through your app to find anything on the PWHL? I shouldn't have to do that now when the league's this exciting. Now, to answer your question, I love this idea. I think that they're putting the NHL on notice and putting them on their toes because they're essentially saying, we got a better product than you do. And they do. I think it definitely prevents teams from intentionally tanking to improve their position for the draft, and it definitely makes things more exciting. It makes the teams that who don't make the playoffs still have something to play for. And I mean, we all know from watching pro leagues and stuff like that, like once you're out, teams, they don't really give two shits anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And and based on your opponent, you're basically trying to play spoiler, or you're dressing, or you're not dressing certain people. This ensures, hey buddy, this ensures that everybody's on the same page, and everybody's still determined and dedicated to give 100% until the last game of the season, whether it's regular season or it's your last game in the playoffs. I think all these new rules and stuff that they're implementing should definitely give the Board of Governors and short stack Gary Bettman something to think about in terms of how to attract more viewers. I mean, I think if they change the rules a little bit more to adapt to more of the PWHL style, they'll definitely get more fans. The product will be more exciting. And then thankfully, hopefully, we can get rid of this goddamn shootout. I'm getting tired of this shit. Make it to the point where it's like, like how they do it, like 3 points for the win. You only get 1 point if you lose. But again, like you don't hand out any of these points until the game is done. Like none of these automatic point systems go about the end of regulation. That shit is garbage. But I definitely think that with the announcement of the playoff format and what happens afterwards until the regular season over, I think it's a brilliant idea. And whoever came up with that, A+ for them for doing their homework and asking the players what can improve this to make this better than the Mets.
I genuinely like this answer, and flat out, like I like as just fans of the game in general. You're 100% right. Like this league is starting to put the NHL on notice, and obviously Gary Bettman, who's still looking for the hairpiece to finally put over his head top, like he's kind of out of touch when it comes to professional hockey, at least on the men's side of things. And with this league, it not only pumps fresh blood into a sport that's basically either stale and rotting or basically a carbon copy of Nosferatu, the fucking vampire from like the 1920s, that's basically like a decrepit mummy with fangs. It's starting to just it's starting to pump up interest into the whole game again, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. I want to see, like we were talking about this last week. I want to see more teams in the PWHL. Like I want to see a Western Conference. I want to be able to see more Canadian teams. I want to actually see, like, say, a Calgary and Edmonton, a Los Angeles, a Seattle. I also want to see a Detroit and a Chicago, or at least a Miami, or not even a Miami, like say maybe a Charlotte, North Carolina, maybe even a Seattle. But obviously, I want to see more teams in this league and be able to rival the NHL as a whole, to tell the NHL, hey, get off your fucking ass and actually do something, So I want to see this league thrive, and basically tell the NHL, like, fix up your shit right now, or basically you're running your pockets and you're giving me all your money. Because low key right now, like, yeah, you've all hit the nail on the head in the situation. The PWHL is a much better game than the NHL right now as it stands. Am I off base with that comment?
No.
Maybe?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, sir.
Am I off base? Am I off base with that comment? No. Do I care about your opinion? No. You know what I'm going to tell you to do? Go suck yourself if you have a problem with it. But at this rate, like I'm happy with what I see with the product right now, and it only gets better from here. So I am going to talk about the draft order real quick before we move on to our last topic, and that is the whole dopey nonsense with Fanatics. And of course, the Fanatics CEO apparently not being able to get an erection for 6 months, but that's a whole different topic that we're going to get into in the next couple of minutes. The apparently the PWHL draft for this year is going to implement what's called the Gold Plan, which is a system that essentially incentivizes, say, losing and being able to accumulate points in a losing effort. So how it would work is that, say, if a team is eliminated from postseason contention, say as of this particular point, if Ottawa and New York both were eliminated from the PWHL playoffs as of this particular moment, like say if they were to potentially like win games, they would essentially accumulate points until, say, they hit a certain threshold, or say they become the last team standing in order to be able to get that first round draft pick. Now, of course, this seemed a little crazy even for me, because trying to understand it didn't really like just hit home with me. Obviously there is a little bit of fine tuning on how this whole thing is going to work. But I mean, would you guys be cool with, say, a gold plan style like system in the NHL or in, say, the Big Four? So at least that way, like, we won't have to watch teams tank every year.
Yes, because it would prevent teams like the Chicago Blackhawks getting a generational player like Connor Bedard.
Agree. I agree with that, Marcia.
Yes, but it needs to be implemented properly, especially since these leagues are leagues with a large amount of teams. You need to make sure you have the groundwork ready to curb loopholes as they might come up. Like, it has to be a flawless plan once implemented.
I agree with that. Jason, what about you?
Yeah, Marsha basically touched on it. You can do it, but it has to be done the right way. You can't just do that to do that. It has to be implemented properly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does piss me off that Chicago was able to get Connor Bedard. There's no way in hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like taking out the loser point might be a good idea. Just go back to 3-2, right? But yeah, the NHL needs to take a page out of the PWHL book, but at the same time, fix the already broken system that they currently have as a product. Fix the officiating, like Marcia said earlier, and fix it so that teams that normally tank can't tank anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Make it balanced.
I wish this system was implemented in the NBA, so it would have prevented, say, Philadelphia from actually, quote unquote, trusting the process and basically ruining the process as a whole. And then, of course, it would also help Detroit as well, because Detroit is just nothing more than a violently rotting piece of shit when it comes to professional basketball right now. But that's a completely different story for a completely different day. And on that note, speaking of rotting pieces of shit, we're going to talk about the Fanatics CEO and his comments about Nike. So, of course, great segue, right?
Yeah.
So, as you folks are aware, Fanatics is the current supplier of jerseys in the National Hockey League, but they are also suppliers for jerseys in Major League Baseball. Now, of course, there is some controversy to how Fanatics jerseys are currently engineered, as Major League Baseball players are finding that these jerseys aren't fitting right, and they're just functionally terrible to look at. Some of the spacing is completely just out of left field, to use a baseball term. The lettering is just garbage. The quality is trash. Like, you know, like, as a fan, like, if you're buying a jersey from, say, Fanatics, and you're basically reducing the quality to basically like wiping, like literally taking a shit and wiping it with your hand, like, there's not much to really have faith in when it comes to buying baseball jerseys, let alone jerseys of any other sport, especially if they're your supplier. And now, of course, Fanatics CEO, actually, if I can just pull up his name really, really quickly, folks, just bear with me for 1 minute here.
Doofus McDooferson.
I mean, we can call him that. But of course, Mary Michael Rubin. I was about to call him. Wow, that was terrible. Michael Gary Rubin, of course, is the current CEO of Fanatics Apparel. Has made comments about why, say, his jerseys are not working very well. He wants to blame Nike for this whole situation in regards to why their jerseys are not working. Of course, this is an anecdote. In regards to his jersey criticism with Major League Baseball as of recently. We have made everything exactly to the spec. Nike and baseball would say, yes, you've done everything we've asked you to do. Part of changing a uniform is to get people uncomfortable, and it takes time to adjust. He also believes that Nike's uniforms will be regarded as an improvement over time. Now, as someone who goes out of his way to spend money on a good sports jersey, regardless if it's a baseball jersey, a basketball jersey, a hockey jersey, or a football jersey, I'm expecting something of good quality and not something from wish.com that will fall apart within 2 seconds. Now, for the dog shit CEO to come out with dog shit and literally sell it to me as chocolate, I'm sorry. That is the stupidest fucking thing you can do, bar none. And for you to say, oh, well, Nike has like fucked up our jerseys, we're gonna ask them to fix the whole situation. It's like, no, like, you decided to do this. You decided to find a way to work with other suppliers and say, quote unquote, oh, this is a Fanatics jersey. This is your problem. You need to fix it. Like, if again, for me, it's like, if I'm say the face of a major apparel brand, would I not find a way to make sure that, say, my shit is of top quality and that fans can actually enjoy even though it's coming at a premium price? Like, I want to be a premium product, not a premium piece of shit.
Like, their product right now is more see-through than anything you can get at Victoria's Secret, which is not a good look for grown, big, hairy baseball men. I mean, some of the women might enjoy the visuals, but I mean, I think overall, I don't really think that that's the look to go for.
Yeah.
The saving grace for the NHL at the very least is that your hockey pants are not see-through, so they don't have to worry about exposing themselves to 18 to 20,000 people every night. The one thing that I'm concerned about is, of course, like you mentioned, people spending their hard-earned money on a jersey, having to order it, and then shipping you a jersey with the logo backwards, or the person stitching the nameplate and the letters on it suddenly have this wild case of dyslexia, and the name is spelled completely wrong. And it also makes me wonder too. It's like, if Fanatics is blaming Nike, who for the baseball jersey, who is Fanatics going to blame when the shipping crates of botched NHL jerseys come out? Because, like, you can't blame Adidas because they got nothing to do with it. You can't blame Nike because Nike hasn't done the NHL since the late '90s, early 2000s. PCM and
Those
Reebok are
jerseys were
essentially
clean.
the same company, and they don't really deal with the jersey section anymore of the NHL. So Fanatics, they're gonna have to pull up their, I guess, see-through big boy pants, for for lack of a better term, and find a way to fix it. Really, I mean, because you've clearly screwed up one sport, and you're potentially about to screw up another. So what? Like, who does the responsibility fall to at that point? Because again, like, you can't be blaming Nike when it's not even a matter of if, it's when you start screwing up the pro jerseys. I mean, Marsh and I, we have our own little back and forth whenever we see something Fanatics wise on Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call the bird app now. But, like, who are you going, again, like, honestly, who are you going to blame? Like, you you have to take responsibility for a billionaire company, a billionaire guy like him, and a company who makes their money off the backs of fans. I mean, what an aptly named company, Fanatics. Like, it's like you have people who don't watch sports running your company. But again, I guess that's kind of the same thing with most of the people who own professional sports teams. A lot of them don't watch. They're just like, oh, you're popular. Here, I'll buy you. And it's like there's no accountability anywhere.
Of course.
And it's something that the NHL really needs to look at. And like if they're pumping out this bad quality in Major League Baseball spring training, like there's got to be some kind of out clause from this 10-year deal with Fanatics. Like there has to be, because there's no way that they're gonna make people like NHL caliber players suffer for 10 years with low quality jerseys and merchandise. No way. The fans won't stand for that.
Well, what's his name, Dave?
Michael Gary Rubin, not Gary Mike, not Barry Geikel Rubin.
So Michael Gary Rubin.
Yes.
If you ever hear this transmission, I'm not gonna tell you like no bad words and stuff, but you gotta step down, man, because clearly you're not the guy for the job. We want Adidas back. I'm not buying a Fanatics jersey. I never will buy a Fanatics jersey. You need to step down and give the bid back to Adidas and do the right thing. Because you already know jerseys are going to be put in the mail with backwards logos, names spelled wrong, numbers not positioned where they're supposed to be.
No, but not even that. Just the general design is just so wrong.
Yeah.
Like before I bought my Flipside jersey, I was searching up to see what the prices were and whatnot, and on Google came the side-by-side comparison of the Fanatics version of the Flipside and the Adidas version of the Flipside, and I said, "What 5-year-old designed this jersey? Because that is not my Flipside." Drew House would cry.
Oh my goodness.
Bro, like how is this allowed? And the NHL said 10 years. No one's buying a jersey ever.
Gary Bettman is just lining his pockets there. That's what that was. That was
buying any more jerseys. When those Adidas jerseys go on sale, you best know I'm stocking up because I'm not getting anything else for the next 10 years.
Yeah, straight up. I'm not buying no Fanatics jersey. If I buy any jerseys, it's Adidas jersey. I have a couple more to get. And when I go get them, I'm gonna make sure that they're not Fanatics. Real shit. I'm going to Real Sports and I'm gonna get like my Adidas jersey.
Oh, trust me, that Flipside jersey is literally next on my list as it is. Like, if I'm gonna buy jerseys out there, then like there are reputable brands that I will gladly give my money in my paycheck to. For example, Mitchell and Ness. They make the best vintage quality jerseys that I've ever seen. They were also responsible for half of the merchandise that came out during the NHL All-Star Game and the NBA All-Star Game, respectively, which happened 8 years apart in one of the greatest cities of the world, Toronto, motherfucking Ontario, Canada. They have also gone out of their way to create apparel that is second to none when it comes to vintage, when it comes to, say, fashion statements with sports gear. There is also Adidas. Now, of course, I was on the fence when it came to Adidas jerseys. Looking at them now, it's like I need to get my hands on one yesterday before Fanatics goes around and fucks up the whole fucking process. Nike is on the same flex because Nike makes basketball jerseys right now. And to tell you the truth, they're 10 times better than, say, some of the other jerseys that were out in circulation over the last few years. Mind you, Adidas did a pretty damn good job over the last few years. Adidas is also something I'd spend my money on too. Under Armour, if Under Armour finally gets itself positioned in say the sports jersey game, like they could probably do a great product too. But I refuse to spend my money on anything Fanatics related. Because as someone who, like I said, has no problem spending his entire paycheck on a jersey, I want it to be of good quality. If it is going to be of shit quality, then I am going to literally do the same thing I would with toilet paper. Put shit all over it.
I would rather give my money to Athletic Knit than Fanatics. For those of you listening who don't know who Athletic Knit is, they do make jerseys. They do make apparel. They're like they make jerseys for men's league. They'll even make you stuff for like your office. They'll make you hats. They'll make you t-shirts. They'll make you golf shirts. They'll make you sweaters. They'll make you hoodies. They'll make you coffee mugs. They'll make you pens. I would my men's league jersey is Athletic Knit, and my jersey looks better than anything Fanatics has pumped out. And I know I don't work for Athletic Knit, but yeah, I'll prop them up. They make some good shit. I would rather spend my money on Athletic Knit than anything Fanatics.
Bro, real thing about Athletic Knit, I used to work in the factory, bro. So I used to unload the fucking trucks that came in and put the colors, the material on the racks. You know what I'm saying? Because they had one factory. And one thing I can say about Athletic Knit, bro, like when Christmas came, the owner came out there and gave us our checks in our hand, dog. I always respect that. I always see that like around in different leagues and stuff like that, or I'll see that emblem on the jersey. Yeah, I'm glad you brought them up, Troy. Real thing. Athletic Knit, even them, they would probably make a way better product than fucking Fanatics, bro. Holy smokes.
I feel like I might have touched on something that may potentially work out in our favor in regards to merchandising. So, folks, let's keep an eye on things in this situation, because you never know if a Toronto third jersey might actually pop up, and you might see something from Athletic Knit. So just keep your eyes open for that. Other than that, I feel like this was a great episode. Don't you guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Great show, guys. Great show.
Of course. Once again, we would like to say fuck Fanatics, and also thank you for letting us grace the space in between your head top. Of course, this has been a very fun episode this evening. Of course, on behalf of Marsha, Troy, and Jason, your boy Dave is getting ready to sign off on this episode here. Once again, you can follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on X and on Instagram. And you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. So that's like, follow, subscribe, share, basically, I don't know, like even carrier pigeon, download, LimeWire, Napster, whatever. Do what you got to do in order to get our podcast out there, right? And just make sure you listen. I don't care if you're on a plane, a train, or in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Fucking listen to us, all right? You can normally get your podcast. Normally get your fix on the Third Intermission podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and of course, our friends at Podbean. Once again, this is your boy Dave signing out, saying until next week.
Drink water, man. Don't forget to drink